Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nigel Baker and I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Pet Industry Federation. I'm joined today by Alexandra Baker, who is our COO, that's the Chief Operating Officer of PIF. And I was supposed to have Vicky Skinner and Rachel Roberts from Spotty Dog here, Vicky Skinner being our Head of Education. Unfortunately, we had a glitch when we recorded this last week and they were both on that webinar. But as we've now had to re-record it, Alex, myself, and Dan being our operations person who looks after the show, is going to be the people who are doing this today. So without further ado, let me just talk you through what we're going to try and do today and give you an oversight of what the show's all about. Just a brief introduction from myself, brief demonstration of the show from Dan, how to set up your stand from Dan, how to attract customers to your stand, the do's and don'ts of a virtual show, the VPI features, new features we've added into the show, and next steps for exhibitors. I think what's important is to understand how we got into running a virtual show in the beginning, and that was of course due to COVID and the pandemic that's been sweeping across everywhere, and we had to cancel our own show, so we decided to take a leap into doing a virtual show. That leap was in June when we ran Virtual Petindex 1, and it was really put up as a replacement for the conventional show we're going to run. And during that show, we learned an awful lot. For instance, let me give you some sort of ideas. We attracted 1,731 visitors. We had 61 trade stands. The unique booth visits, that's people who went to separately to every single booth, was 17,417. Document views 4692, and that's people viewing documents on people's stands. Video views 1087. We held 29 webinars during the days that the show was on, and the webinar views 2824. What was amazing was that we set this up as a UK show, and yet obviously being on the internet, we had visitors from the UK, USA, Canada, South America, Europe, Asia, India, and Australia. So what started out as a UK show ended up being somewhat of a global show. So we rethought the way we pitched the VPI in October just to make it have more of a global reach from the get-go and from day one. And from that view, we've reached out to some of the other European and foreign trade associations to join us with their own pavilion. We yet to see whether that will happen or not. And we've done some other things to the show, which Alex will tell you a little bit about. The great virtue of being a virtual show is obviously the information we pick up, and we can tell you quite a lot about the visitors who came to the show. For example, if you take the top left-hand graph, 43% of people were retailers or wholesalers, 32% were pet services, etc. And you can see the different colours from each graph. Job titles, we attracted 48% of owners and others into the event. And again, I think the numbers speak for themselves. Product interest, of course, you'd expect pet food to be the major one. That's what most people sell the most of. So pet food was clearly the outstanding area where people flagged what they were interested in. And what was also a number which stood out for me was that the type of people we were getting and the outlets we're buying for, the larger, the companies with more outlets were the ones who were visiting us, where 74% of those retailers who came were buying for 20 or more outlets. So we are attracting the larger retailers to this show. And we obviously want to expand that reach this year, not only to have the large ones, but also try and get some of the smaller ones on board too, because it is so easy to go to the show. You literally just got to sit at home with a computer, laptop or mobile and you're on. You don't even have to download anything. And that gives you access to all the webinars and also all the trade stands. So let me give you an idea of what sort of information you would get. This is the information which we downloaded for our education stands. I'm quite happy to share this with you. So this stand had 386 total visits, but unique visits were 257. You can look at what sort of details we can get, and those type of details we get is driven by job titles, interests, etc. But if I can show you that in detail, this is the type of access to information we'll give you at the end of it. So everybody who comes to your stand, and that's regardless of whether you talk to them or not, we know that they visited your stand, and we track all of those people who are at the show and what they're doing at any one time. So we provide you with at the end a full breakdown of everybody who went to the show. So for instance, first name, last name, title, business name and address, phone number, website, product interest, company sector, their email, their job title. And this is a full printout of what actually happened on your trade stand. Now, we think that's quite unique information because at a normal show, you would never expect to get this information. So if somebody came to your trade stand and just picked up a leaflet, you wouldn't know where they were from, you wouldn't know anything about them apart from the fact they went away with one of your leaflets. A virtual trade show allows us to actually find out who they were and what they picked up. So we can track that they came to your stand, they picked up a product leaflet on one of your products, and we can give that information back to you. And indeed, at the end of the show, we share all of this information with you. So this makes a virtual show very, very different from a conventional show. We don't aim to be a conventional show. It's a very different experience. And all the way through this, we'll try and just sort of highlight why this show is so different. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Dan Everett now, who's our person who looks after all of the show and the operations of the show. And he's going to talk to you about his VPI platform and setting up your stand. Thank you, Dan.
Good afternoon, my name's Dan. I'm the event coordinator for the Pet Industry Federation. Thank you for coming along this afternoon. I'd just like to give you a quick tour of the virtual homepage for our virtual show, Virtual Petindex, which took place back in June this year, and also to give you a brief demonstration on how to set up your virtual trade stand if you were to join us as an exhibitor for VPI in October. As you can see on the screen at the moment, this was our landing page for Virtual Petindex. This is where we directed all our visitors to come and register for the show back in June. As you can see, there's a number of things on the landing page. There's the title of the event, the dates the event was live, and the opening hours for the live days as well. As it was a virtual event, this event was also available on demand for 30 days after the 15th of June. So visitors could come back and watch any of the webinar content or access the exhibition hall for another 30 days at their leisure. So essentially, Virtual Petindex was a show that never closed and the silent salesman for many of our exhibitors. So here's a bit more information about the show. This allowed our visitors to know what to expect from Virtual Petindex and what was happening. We also put some reasons to attend for trade visitors to attend for this B2B event. Some information here about our headline sponsor eBay, who we secured, and our international media partner. And we also had 61 exhibitors at the first UK Virtual Pet Trade Show back in June. What we did with all the exhibitors, we gave them a position on the landing page, and we also included a direct click through to their website, like this, which was as part of the standard package for exhibiting with us. If I scroll even further down, you will be able to see our webinar schedule. So we had over 28 webinars taking place over the 2 live days. This included a mixture of pre-recorded and live sessions. Again, these were available at any time for 30 days after the show. There was also a mix of business and educational webinars and live fireside chats and discussions, which were really well attended. The final part of the landing page was the frequently asked questions section. Here we covered everything that we thought our visitors and our exhibitors would need to know about how a virtual exhibition works, how they need to register, what happens on the live days, who is the event for, how to visit a trade stand, and anything else that we thought needed covered, just to make the experience easier for our trade visitors. We also put together a comprehensive registration form, so if I was to click here, that would open. This form allowed us to capture all the visitor data. They also had to agree to being contacted by our exhibitors and sponsors after the show as part of the registration process. So as a potential exhibitor for our next event in October, the GDPR part has been covered here by visitors clicking here. There was a nice breakdown, so the data that you would get as an exhibitor, which Nigel will go on to later, is the company name, their position in the company, their product interest, how many outlets they're buying for, etc. So it is really comprehensive and data that you wouldn't get at a physical show. Once visitors had registered, they received 3 email notifications to confirm their booking. The final one went out on the first live morning of the 14th of June, just to remind them of their login details. This included the email and the generic password to get into the show when the show went live. So on the live day, all they had to do was come back to the Virtual Petindex landing page, click here to log in, pop in their email address and pop in the password, and then they could log into Virtual Petindex. So once they'd logged in, as you just saw there, we had a welcome video pop out from our membership manager, Gemma Martin, and this explained what was happening at Virtual Petindex over the 2 live days and everything that they could do throughout their visit. And we also had some subtitles for our European visitors who were joining us. Now you've landed in the virtual lobby, you can see there are a number of touch points, the main areas being the auditorium, the exhibition hall, the networking room, and finally the information desk. If I was to click on the auditorium, that would take me straight to the auditorium. I can also utilise the toolbar along the top here to access the auditorium as well. So let's take a look at the auditorium. Once I click that through, that takes me to the holding page for the webinars. As you can see on the left and the right, we had all the exhibitor logos on a loop as extra exposure for them, all part of their Virtual Petindex exhibitor package. So this was a great way of advertising as well for them. If I wanted to go into webinar, I would just click the screen here and it would take me into the webinar room. As the show is now closed, this is slightly different to how it looks on the live days, but you can see the dates the show is on and the content available on those days. All of these webinars were available on demand and live as we were catering to a remote audience, so our content was flexible enough to be consumed at different times of the day. So even though we had a webinar schedule, if you missed one of the live presentations, you could still come back at any point and watch that content. So if we just click play, this would then open up this introduction to cat grooming webinar, and you also see the Q&A on the side. We'll now go back to the lobby. So again, the next touch point was the exhibition hall, so I could access it by clicking exhibition hall here, or again on the toolbar. We've now arrived in the Virtual Petindex exhibition hall. The way to navigate around the exhibition hall is pretty similar to a live event where you can walk up and down, or in this instance, scroll left to right, up and down the exhibition. You can do this fast or you can do it slow. So you can see all of the exhibitors who are exhibiting at Virtual Petindex. Another way of finding an exhibitor, if you were specifically looking for someone in particular, you could use the exhibitor index here, which was in alphabetical order, so A to Z. Or, as you can see here, we have the Puriform stand and we have a Nature's Menu logo in front of their stand. So this showed that placement wasn't a very important thing with a virtual show. You could be anywhere in the exhibition hall and visitors can still find your trade stand and view your information. Another way of doing this is if we scroll along and we stop in a stand, we've now landed on the Milbury stand. So as you can see, they've populated their images on here to bring to life one of our templates for the virtual show. You can also include a URL, external URL, if you wanted to redirect a visitor somewhere else to one of your products. So if I click here on the left, that has taken me to the Milbury products page on their website. Again, if I click the one on the right, that again takes me there as well. With the stands, you also get your own customizable toolbar where you can pop in further information about your products, or you can put social media handles on there, whatever you want to do. You can have a place an order button, a leave a message button, book a meeting slot button, drop a business card. Totally up to you, and all of these options are available when you're designing your stand. I will show you in a few minutes how you go from a blank template to something like Milbury have produced here. You can also add your company description here, and very importantly, add documents. These guys only added 2 documents here, but the way it works is if you upload a PDF, and if I click here view, as a visitor, I should be able to view that PDF. So once I've read this, I think great, I'd really want to take this away with me, because I'd like to review it. A bit like a traditional live show, you can add this to your virtual show bag. So if I add both these documents here to my show bag, I can then scroll to the toolbar up top, and this is my own personal show bag here. If I open that, the documents have both landed in here. So I want to take these away with me, so I will highlight them like that and press email, pop my email in, and then I can email them to myself so I don't lose that information. Again, exhibitors can also upload video content to the stand, so it doesn't have just to be PDF documents. If we find an exhibitor who had some video content, as you can see, I'm using the index here. QPD videos. So you can see they had more than a number of videos on here. What we found is a number of the exhibitors who had quite a lot of video content actually did receive quite a higher footfall on their trade stands. So video content is a very positive way to promote your products and services. So again, if I wanted to view QPD's video, I would just click view, and that video opens up. Another good thing about the virtual platform is, in terms of exhibitor placement, as a visitor I can be anywhere in the exhibition hall to view content. So I don't necessarily have to be on a specific exhibitor stand to access their information. The way this works again is, if I just go to the toolbar, click resources, click all booths, and then I can find a particular exhibitor I'm looking for rather than having to scroll through the exhibition hall. Click there, and then all of their documents they have uploaded are available. And again, I could add them to my show bag and email them to myself after. Video content works in the same way. You just go to the video vault. I can search for the exhibitor, and I can view their videos. And again, if I wanted to, I could add the links to my show bag as well. What you'll find is the exhibition hall catered to visitors who like to spend a long time exploring each and every virtual booth by scrolling left to right on the display. But we also accelerated the journey for visitors who had a shorter amount of time by providing quick links on this navigation toolbar and on the index, and by the free advertisements railing along the bottom of the screen, which you can see. So I'll just stop at one and show you how this works. Kong, for example, again, it's Zealandia stand, but I want to visit the Kong stand, and it takes me straight there. So it's just reinforcing that message that placement in the exhibition hall wasn't fundamental of importance. The way the placement did work was, as exhibitors signed up and submitted all of their information and confirmed booths by the deadlines that we set, this is how their placement ended up in the exhibition hall. For the show in October, we will be setting a deadline of the 1st of October as the final deadline to submit all of the information for the booths to be built by our virtual platform provider. This will then give us 2 weeks to make sure everything is working as it should be, and also to have a practice session with all exhibitors and booth staff that will be manning the stands on the day to make sure everything is in order and working before the show goes live. Just like to pop back to the lobby. So in the lobby you can also see we have a number of advertisement boards. These are available for the second show as well. what we found from the first show is the exhibitors that were given a advertising space in the lobby actually received slightly higher traffic than other exhibitors. This is because, again, I could click one of the advert boards and it would take me straight to that exhibitor. The really great thing about this is pre-show, you could communicate this to your database or your current clients that if they wanted to meet you at Virtual Petindex in October, as soon as they enter the lobby, just tell them to have a look out for your advert, click that advert board, and it will take you straight to the trade stand. So that would save them having to find you in the exhibition hall. Another area is the information desk. This was manned for the duration of the live days of the show, so if there was any technical issues by any of our exhibitors, or if we had visitors who didn't understand how to use the platform, they could come here, and this was fully manned by our technical support team and the Pet Industry customer service team, so we could answer all questions promptly to improve the visitor and exhibitor experience. We also up here on the right hand side had chat instructions, so this was a few more details about how to chat to other visitors and booth staff during the live days. Just going to go back to the lobby again. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of how the auditorium works, how to access the exhibition hall, the opportunities with our advertisement boards, and where to go if there was any problems in the information desk. We've been working on some new things for our virtual show in October. I'd just like to share with you our new lobby, which is going to be this one. This is the artist's impression at the moment. As you can see, we will keep the exhibition hall touchpoint, the auditorium and the lounge. The new improvement for the show in October is we've added 18 new advertisement opportunities here above the auditorium sign, which are available to exhibitors to pop their company logo in, and we can embed a link that will take visitors straight to your stand. And these are available for £80 plus VAT for Virtual Petindex in October. So you might now be wondering how to design a virtual trade stand. So this happens in 7 simple steps. So the first step would be to sign up as an exhibitor. Once we receive confirmation that you've signed our terms and conditions, we would then send you a link to the virtual platform. I'm just going to show you an example here. In this link would be the remaining 6 steps. Step 1 would be to pop your company name in, add your logo and a description about your company. Then you can press save. This will take you on to step 2, is where you can choose your stand templates. So there are a number of templates available, as you can see here, which I will scroll through. So all of these are available to be branded and help differentiate you from other exhibitors. And you can also add your company colours to the stands as well as images. So the way it works is, for example, if I was to choose this one, I can then add an image in every one of these numbered brackets here. The images are based on pixels, so the guidelines are there. So you can actually use any current assets you have, which takes away the need for any expensive new design costs that you would associate with a normal trade show. You can use your current assets and images. So all you need to do is, if I was to scroll down, pop your image in here, pop the URL in there if you'd like to redirect a visitor to somewhere else, maybe on your company website. So you would add them in the order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then again when you get to the bottom you just save and continue. Step number 3 is filling in your customizable toolbar here. So again, you would just add in your title, so it could be a link to your website with the URL, it could be chat timings when your staff are available, it could be a link to a show brochure, a show offer, again anywhere that you would want to send the trade visitors to the show. And you press save and continue. Step number 4 is adding your documents. So this again could be a sales brochure, an offer, anything that you would like to put on there. So again, just put the document title in and drop the file there. Adding videos works in the same kind of way. So yes, so I'd add the video title in there and then the URL of where it's hosted. So this virtual platform actually supports both Vimeo and YouTube accounts. If you have an MP4 video, all we would suggest is to create a Vimeo or basic YouTube account, and then we can host it from there for you. So once you've uploaded all your documents and videos, you would press save and continue. And you would jump to step 6, which is adding the booth staff who may be manning your stand for the duration of the live days. You can have as many booth staff on there as you want, and you can split them up throughout the duration of the show. So all you need to do is add user, and you've got first name. So what we recommend here is you pop in your company name in the first name section. In the last name section, it's great to put their job title followed by their actual full name. So for example, I could have Pet Industry Federation, Events Coordinator, Daniel Everett. Pop my email in there and a password. So then when visitors are coming to your booth during the show and they wanted to speak to someone as the online rep for the Pet Industry Federation stand, they would see me as Pet Industry Federation Events Coordinator, Daniel Everett. And if they wanted to speak to me, they'd know fully who I was. So again, you'd add all your staff there in that way and save. And step number 7 is just to review and look at all the information that you've put together before obviously submitting it to VFairs, who are our virtual platform provider. So the great thing about this system here is you can change any of the steps apart from step 2. So we really recommend choosing the template that you want to use. Spend some time choosing the template, adding your images before you submit that. Any of the other steps, so if documents, content links, videos, if you wanted to change them at any time before the show or even during the show, we can do that for you. The only thing that we cannot do or change is step 2. So once the information has been submitted, it will take about 4 to 5 working days for your virtual booth to appear in your virtual exhibition hall. So as mentioned before, we will be setting a deadline of the 1st of October for all exhibitors who sign up to the show to have submitted all that information. So that brings to an end how to set up a virtual trade stand. I'm just going to take you back to the lobby. Finally, I will just give you a brief example of how the chat rooms work. Jump on a chat room. So this would be the information chat room. So I'm landing in the chat room. It would say technical assistance desk here. I can pop my questions in here. Can someone? So pop that in the text there, and then hopefully one of the staff covering this technical chat room would then be able to reply to me. Again, if I wanted to go into a private one-to-one chat with that person, I could just press their chat now and I would go into a private conversation with them. Nigel will be covering how the chat rooms work in more detail in this webinar. So I hope that gives you a bit of a further insight into how Virtual Petindex worked in June and our plans for Virtual Petindex in October. If you would like to discuss anything that I've showed you this afternoon, please feel free to drop me an email at daniel.everett@the Pet Industry Federation or drop me a call on 01 234 224 507. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you at Virtual Petindex.
Thank you, Dan. Hello, everyone. We thought it would be a really good idea to give you a bit of an overview and some hints and tips about how to attract visitors to your stand at Virtual Petindex. Obviously, attracting visitors to your stand, whether it's a face-to-face show or virtual show, that's one of the main aims of you actually being there. But the approaches that you take to a virtual show are certainly different to those of a face-to-face traditional event. And we are delighted actually that Spotty Dog Communications, who are a PR agency who we've worked with in the past, and I know a number of you will already be aware of their work, they actually were exhibitors with us at the last show in June. And they used it as an opportunity to work out how those approaches would actually work best for them as an exhibitor. They've put together a short explainer video and some fantastic hints and tips, and it's probably far easier if they explain a little bit about how, you know, the approaches that you need to take as an exhibitor. Just before we move on to the video though, it's worth just seeing some of the range of companies that Spotty Dog are working with currently and have worked with. So they're quite well known within the industry, so they're really well placed. They've got this unique position as being, you know, within our industry, but also having exhibited at Virtual Petindex. So I think the video is coming on next, hopefully.
We love helping clients maximise their presence at trade and consumer shows. But how can we make an impact with virtual events?
We're just back from attending our first virtual trade show, and we just wanted to share our experience of how the event format worked. So at the Virtual Petindex, we hosted our own virtual stand and delivered an online training seminar. We found that these were both great ways to get connected with new people. So I'm just going to talk through now how the event works.
Visitors signed up to join the event at a dedicated event website. The show was live for 2 days, during which visitors could visit us as and when they wanted, first arriving in this virtual exhibition hall. From here, they could visit an auditorium where over 25 video seminars were scheduled across the 2 days, and network in a series of live chat rooms, and browse the virtual exhibitor area. This was our exhibition stand. On our virtual stand, we featured videos, info about Spotty Dog, and ran our Take the Lead challenge, which we specifically created for this event. People visiting our stand could live chat with us, and we also appeared in the auditorium, delivering our Telling Your Brand Story through video seminar. Outside of the event, we are also active on social media.
We had a really positive experience and would recommend the virtual show format to any of our clients. To make sure you get the most out of the experience, we've got 5 top tips.
Tip 1. Create a reason to visit your virtual stand so visitors will feel they're getting something unique from attending the event. At this show, we ran a competition to guess how many steps our office dog had walked in May, offering the incentive of an explainer video prize and a donation to Birmingham Dogs Home for everyone who took part. Tip 2. A virtual show format means you have to work harder to showcase your products and services, as visitors can't experience your offer in the same way. The virtual format means that you need a great video and collateral to tell your story better. Tip 3. Work social media hard. At our event, other exhibitors weren't using the show hashtag, so we were able to secure great presence outside of the show. We also live tweeted during our video seminar to promote our speaking slots and create a live event experience. Tip 4. Ensure you rota team members to man the stand. A virtual event can be very intense, as chats can happen at any time. Plus, you need to keep an eye and react to social media conversations. And tip 5. Have a follow-up plan. Often, real-world events miss this trick and forget follow-up communications after a trade show.
It's been great to share our virtual trade show experience, and you don't want to miss out on any more top tips from us, so make sure to follow us on social media and to subscribe to our Spotty Blog Extra newsletter.
The sort of things that you need to bear in mind. So obviously you need to create a reason for people to visit your stand, and you need to get that promoted long before the event. So for example, by running, as you would at a normal trade show, by running show discounts and things like that, you need to work your social media feeds quite hard to let people know, let your customers know that there's a reason for them to come and visit your stand at Virtual Petindex. And you know, if you're just running an offer on the 2 live days, then you've really got a window to kind of grab people's attention. They've also suggested obviously creating some specific video and marketing content which is really tailored towards Virtual Petindex, just something quite short, because people's interest wanes after sort of 30 or 40 seconds on the video. So consider putting something quite sort of short and sweet together and snappy, and uploading that onto your stand. I think Dan's already explained about the way that videos work on your stand. And again, just to reiterate about using social media, using your platforms, and not just relying on the show itself, but actually getting that going before the event and also during the event to actually drive people to your stand. Make sure you've got people to actually man the stand, in inverted commas. Obviously, you know, they're manning it virtually, but you can maybe put some sort of times in of when people are going to be there, so that you've got the right people on at the right times to chat to people. And then obviously following up, you know, as Nigel's already explained, you get a fantastic amount of data from exhibiting at Virtual Petindex, and you really need to make the most of that. And so use every channel that you have at your disposal to follow up on a lot of the conversations you might have had, or the visits that you will have had to your stand that you might not be aware of at the time, but which you'll certainly see on all of the show data once the show's actually concluded. I think on the next stand up, and this is another thing. So your stand, we actually, as the Pet Industry Federation, put together some marketing assets for you. So when you're running your social media campaigns ahead of the event, it's really easy to slot some of these in onto your LinkedIn posts or your Facebook posts. There's an email one down as well. So we'll continue to produce these. These will be available on the exhibitor portal, which you'll have once you become an exhibitor at VPI. And we'll do some more of these as we go along. So I'll just put Spotted Dog's details up because they were very helpful and very generous in allowing us to use their video and their hints and tips. But I think now we're moving on to Nigel Baker again to talk about the do's and don'ts of a virtual show.
Okay, so let's have a look at the virtual show. VPI has 2 live days on October the 11th and 12th. That isn't to say that it goes on after that, because we have a further 14 days. But just for the moment, let's just look at the 2 live days. During these days, visitors can visit the show to view the webinars and look around the trade stands. Visitors can chat to trade stands, and I'll talk a little bit more about this later. Live webinars will only be available for the live days. Pre-recorded webinars will be scheduled over the 2 days, and visitor gamification will be in action during the live days. And gamification is a way we're looking about moving the visitors around to trade stands. But this is something we're investigating, is available, and we're just going to see how that will work in practice. So for the following 14 days after the live days, visitors can still visit the show and view your stand and look at webinars. It's quite important to make sure that your stand works, because if they can still visit it and see it and go on and see your videos and click on anything to see your leaflets, etc. And if you want them to, I say if you want them to, still to be able to order and make orders on your stand, then that's your choice. Then it's important that your stand therefore continues to work even though there's no one manning it. However, they can send you an email should anyone want to contact you as a visitor. All the chat features will cease to work. Pre-recorded webinars can still be used, and visitor gamification ceases. So if we do that, that will cease at that stage. And I said at the bottom, your stand still operates as a silent salesman for 2 days plus an extra 14 days. So let's look at a conventional show versus a virtual show. So at a conventional show, and you all know this because you've all done conventional shows, you engage with visitors and can determine what they want. You can segment your visitors into home, new business, overseas. That means if somebody comes to your stand, you can go, well, if you want to make an order and you are in your home country or you're from a local retailer, go and see XYZ salesperson. Somebody comes on your stand from overseas and said, I'm interested in being a distributor, and you put them to the right person. And obviously, if someone comes on and wastes your time, you can go, sorry, I'm not interested in talking to you. You can do all of those things at a conventional show. But also there are many people who come by your stand and will just pick up a leaflet and browse your stand, and you don't know who they are and you have no further contact with them. And probably the major thing at the end of the show, you go, was it a good show or a bad show? And you'll judge that on the number of transfer orders you took, the number of people you talked to, or the opportunities presented during the show. And I guess you add all of those up and that will go, yeah, it was a good show, it was all right, or no, I didn't see anybody, didn't take any orders, it was a bad show. So virtual show, very, very different. You can't see the visitors on your stand. They're virtual visitors and therefore you don't see them. The visitors can chat to you, but you can't open the conversation. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute. Visitors can silently collect leaflets, watch your videos and place orders without you seeing them. They can do all of those things, But every single time anybody watches a video, collects a leaflet or places an order, they are being recorded insofar as they're tracked. And at the end of the show, you get all the information. So all those people you would normally miss who come by and collect a leaflet or do something or even watch a video on your stand, because they are registered on a virtual platform, we can actually see where they go. And at the end of the show, as I've already shown you, you'll get a full detailed profile on everybody who actually did anything or actually placed an order or looked at any leaflets on your stand. Your trade stand, therefore, needs to work in a totally different way. And I've already said you'll receive full details and profile of every visitor. And you also need to tell visitors what they're looking for, because you can't direct them and go and talk to Joe Blogs about a retail order. You need to actually tell people what you're looking for. And it's quite useful, I think, on the entrance or on one of the toolbars you have on there. I'm looking for distribution in Europe. I'm looking for a distributor in America. I want greater retail distribution in the UK. But that way you'll get the visitors you want and not the visitors you don't want. Because otherwise I'm going to give you a list at the end of this show and you're going to go, well, actually, that's no use to me. And because they weren't the people I wanted to talk to. So if you're not telling visitors who you want to talk to, you could get everybody there who's just going to graze your stand. And finally, the contents of what you put in your stand is important. And therefore, that's really straightforward. You need to make sure your graphics are crisp and clear. And you need to make sure your toolbar actually has things on it that people can click on, the things that you really want them to see. Let's look at design. Two designs on the left, not from the show. The Canam one, no idea what they were trying to do. This was not at our show. This was another show where we just looked through trade stands to see what type of things people were doing. And the one on the left, the bottom one below that, again, lots of machinery. Who's the company? What do they want to do? What customers they are trying to attract? No idea. It just gave me no feeling at all about, do I want to go on their stand? Go to the right, look at the Seabridge stand. Brilliant. Shows very clearly what the products are, what the show offers are, what their price book is. You can click on that, and the offer book. And the one below, like that, because that's got a whole thing on that about generating business in private label as well as their own brands. So very clear on their own brands and also clear on private label too. So you must decide really what type of stand you want, who you want to attract to it, and your graphics, what do they want to be about. And it may well be you decide you have two stands, one's about private label and one's about your brands. Your choice, but bear in mind the cost of the stands is not expensive. It's not like doing a normal trade show. And of course, there's no additional cost. You've got no hotels, no travel, no people rigging your stand, etc. And of course, your bar bill will be a lot less too. However, let's now look at chat. And I talked about chat quite a lot because chat's quite an important function in this. Okay, there are a number of different functions on here. One on the top right-hand side and the big yellow one at the top says chat instructions. Dan has put on here instructions so that if you forget what I've said and you're there on your trade stand, want to know how chat works or explain it to any of your salespeople, you can do that easily because there's the instructions. Down the bottom, leave a message. That's also what I spoke about. Leave a message could be send me an email because I'm not on the stand at the moment. And although on the live days we close the show at 6, in effect, of course, the show stays open 24 hours. Nothing closes. So anybody can come on your stand in the evening or register and go onto it. And if you're not on the stand, they could leave you a message. The chat feature at the bottom is the most important feature because there's a number of different ways you can work on doing this. And let me show you about that now. Okay, so this is how chat works on the live days. And if you just follow this through. So a visitor coming to your stand can push the chat button on it and open up a public chat. And I underline the word public because everybody can see what they're saying. Anybody who is in your public chat room, and anybody can click on that, can see that conversation. And likewise, you can start a conversation going, hello, is anybody there? And if anybody's on your stand, they could respond to you. But bear in mind, they don't have to. They can still visit your stand, do everything in your stand without actually talking. So person comes into your stand and says, I'd like to talk to Joe Blogs, who's the Southern salesperson. And the Southern salesperson happens to be there during 12 and 2 o'clock. So you can either say, yeah, he's here now, or come back at 12 o'clock when they'll be on the stand. But if they open up that public chat, it may well be that the salesperson doesn't want to have a public chat and wants to have a private one. So in which case the visitor can push private chat and can open up a private chat with the nominated salesperson on the stand, their nominated person they want to talk to, and have a private chat, and that can be either through text or video. So follow the red line on that, and you'll see it goes through private chat and text or video chat. Simultaneously, when the live days are over, bear in mind, and I've said this earlier, that you can have emails on your toolbar and send me a message, and anybody who visits your stand can send you a message and go, please can I talk at so-and-so, or will you ring me if it's not on the live days? Because bear in mind, this show goes on for 14 days once the live days are finished. So in summary, keep your trade stand easy and simple because it keeps on selling even when you're not present. Don't judge the event by the number of chats you have. Look at the customer engagement at the end of the show. And at the last show, some people said, oh, it's very quiet, didn't talk to very many people. And when we sent them through the visitor profiles, it showed they'd had between 250 and 450 people on their stand. And they said that's more people than we ever see at a conventional show. So they've come back again to engage again on this time. Don't clutter up your graphics, keep them crisp and clean. Tell the audience what you're looking for. And we've said that. I think it's important that you go, it may be something you just want to highlight. I'm looking for a distributor in, I don't know, Czechoslovakia or Germany or whatever else like that. But it's really important that you highlight what type of people you're looking for. Use show promotions to engage the audience, but make them visible to visitors. So in other words, if you are going to do show promotions, go click here to see our show promotions on your stand, etc. And don't clutter your toolbar with all your social media feeds. I think last time, and we were all guilty, including us who had a trace down there, of doing that. Everybody knows you're on Facebook. You should know you're on Facebook or have a web feed. That's fine. But you don't need to put the Instagram address on there and all the other things on there. Just keep it simple. Keep the information that you, if you were visiting your stand, would want to see. Don't just fill it up with information for the sake of filling it up. And use the event assets that Alex spoke about and your own social media to bring traffic to your stand and the show. That's really important. We can do so much. We are a not-for-profit company. We've deliberately kept the show stands at the most reasonable price we can get it to, and therefore we don't spend masses of money on marketing. We rely on social media as well. So the more we can all do on social media, then the greater the number of visitors will be to the stand. And at the end of the day, that will really make the difference between a lot of visitors or a few visitors. But we need you, and actually Rachel and Spotty Dog said this earlier, make social media work. Our hashtag is #VPI. Make sure you use it. Alex, over to you for further features on VPI.
Thank you, Nigel. Well, just to talk briefly about some of the features that we've got at Virtual Petindex. I mean, obviously it's a trade show ultimately, but there are certain things that we're bringing in this time that we've learnt from having run it one previous show, of ways that we can actually improve and make your experience better as exhibitors, but also to hopefully drive more engagement with visitors coming to the show, and hopefully make sure that we get as many people as possible registering and logging on over the 2 live days. So just to run briefly through some of the new features that we've got. The new product showcase, we're just working on some of the mechanics of that at the moment, but it will certainly be around any exhibitors that have got a new product that they'd like to spotlight on, that like to highlight, emphasize. We're going to run something which will enable you to do that. And as I said, once you sign up to exhibit with us, then we'll be able to pass on some details about how exactly that's going to work. Groom Fair, we know that the grooming industry in this country is very active and very engaged. We've got quite a few of them in PIF membership, and we want to create something which is a little bit dedicated for them as well. So that will be probably a small hall which will have a number of grooming or wholesalers, manufacturers which are dedicated specifically towards the grooming industry. And we're going to call that Groom Fair, and we'll put a little bit of sort of separate PR around it to again really drive some interest to that particular feature of the show. One of the areas that we're going to improve this time around is actually going to be the lobby. The lobby is, as Dan explained earlier on, is the first bit that you see when you log onto the platform. We're going to try and make it have a slightly better layout. We're going to create more advertising opportunities. Those advertising opportunities, if you choose to take any of them, we'll charge a small amount for exhibitors to sort of be able to put their logo in them. But that will create a fast-track link straight to your stand. So it will be very easy to navigate from the new look lobby. We're also, on the next bullet point, we're going to limit the number of stands that we have in each hall. One of the things that we found, some of the feedback that we got from the event in June, was that we had a lot of stands in one hall. We had all 61. And obviously you've got to scroll through a number of different stands before you can actually find either yourself or a particular company that you're interested in seeing. So we're going to have more halls and fewer exhibitors in each hall, and that means that those exhibitors in every hall will have greater exposure, and that visitors hopefully will be able to find them a lot more easily when they're exhibiting. I put webinars on there as well. Webinars, they're not a new feature for this show. We ran them successfully at the last event as well. The reason they're really important is because the kind of range of webinars that we put together are aimed largely at driving visitors to the show. So we've got a number of different, both live and pre-recorded webinars that we're working on at the moment with very high-profile speakers. And once those are all ready to go and all lined up, we will push those VPI, and through that we will get a lot of footfall to the event, and that in turn will ensure that you will have plenty of visitors coming to your stand at the show. So webinars will be on sort of first aid, we'll do some retail focused ones on merchandising, and there's a whole load of them that we will aim at various different groups of our membership and the kind of people, the sort of visitors that we would expect to come to the show. So webinars might not be directly impacting on you as an exhibitor, but they're relevant because obviously the greater the range, the more interesting and exciting they are, then the greater the footfall to VPI itself. So I've put that on the end as well, because that is a very important feature to raise with you this webinar. Well, oh yes, and there's a little bit of information about the sort of things we're looking at putting together. I'd forgotten we'd actually put that slide in. So on a range of topics, some of them aimed at manufacturers, some of them aimed on sort of on topic of animal welfare and on business support as well. One point that is just worth making, obviously the people who run our seminars, there's generally speaking, they're doing it independently. If you want to run videos that promote your own products, then as Dan explained, there's plenty of opportunity to run that through your stands. So the main webinar schedule will largely be sort of independent and hopefully, as I said, an interesting range for our visitors as well. So I think that brings us on to the sort of the concluding slides, really.
Thank you, Alex. And thank you for watching our webinar today. As you know, this was a rerun of the earlier one, which we did last week, and was mainly being put together because we had a technical glitch on recording the first one. So unfortunately, we weren't able to include Rachel Roberts from Spotty Dog, although obviously had her content here, and also Vicky Skinner from PIF Education. Thank you to both of you for attending and putting your input into the first seminar we ran. So, early bird rate. The early bird rate is there to give you a £100 discount should you book before the 28th of August. Our normal rate is for a trade stand is £650. There are no different sizes. It's one rate fits all. So £650 plus VAT price for a trade stand. Book before the 28th of August and you get a £100 discount. And if you're a PIF member, then you get a further discount off of that as well. Reason for the early bird rate is just try and stop everything bunching towards the end of the month or as we get towards the end of the show starting, mainly because give Dan a better chance to help everybody and just plan things out a little bit better. So we're just trying to stop that bunching by putting this rate in there. And we hope you'll book by the 28th of August and that will secure your space, obviously, and give us a better time to plan things out. Daniel's contact numbers are on this slide, daniel.everett@petfederation.co.uk or 01234 224 507, that's his direct line. Or you can book directly at www.petindexshow.com and all the details are on that www.petindexshow.com website. So you can go in there, book your details, put them all in there, and that will go through to Dan and he'll get back in touch with you. Thank you all very much for listening today. I hope you found it useful.